Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and particularly Bill. What an adventure you took us on. I want to make sure that I recognize that you asked us in your introduction to pay attention to three things. You talked about your vocal variety, your eye contact, tact, and your speech organization. And I want to let you know that your vocal variety was fantastic. I appreciated it, and there were many characters in your story that were differentiated solely by your voice. That's pretty impressive. Haven't heard you before, but certainly would love to listen to you again. I did notice that you had eye contact with us the majority of the time, but there were some instances where you were looking off to your left, and I'm not sure why that happened. There were other instances where you briefly glanced to the right. They weren't as distracting, but perhaps you were consulting your notes. I would recommend that if that were the case, that you put your notes right underneath your camera so that you're able to see your notes and look at us at the same time. Because remember, we're having this conversation, and that's really important. And I thought your speech organization as a chronology was important because it happened the way that it happened. Now, I want to share with you evaluation features 3, 2, 1 is the method that I'm going to use. 3 elements that I thought were particularly good, 2 opportunities for you to make it even better, and 1 thing that stood out to me majorly in your talk. First and foremost, I think that you had such great language. And it wasn't just that it was flowery, it's that it was very specific about what was going on. It made me feel like I had a plumbing lesson. I don't know if that was your intention, but it worked for me. You talked about the downside of the process and referred to roots. Well, obviously, roots are down. And then you said, oh no, here we go again. Fantastic. And then you talked about that character Drew in his voice. Well, we all felt Drew, even though he's given you pretty bad news. It was great to see him and have a visualization through your vocalization. I would have liked you to have incorporated more physical movement. For example, when you said, I plunged the toilet, you said, I plunged the toilet. What about I plunged the toilet so that your whole body is involved in it and it's inside the rectangle of Zoom? You can do that. I know you can. Additionally, your PowerPoint was on one slide, and I wasn't clear that that was intentional. Perhaps maybe you forgot to advance it. I saw the original slide with your title and then the big, huge hole and the dimension of that hole when you finally found the pipe. And it would have been good if that was your intention, that you have something in between, or you just turn it on when we get to the hole and you're trying to highlight that massive, massive, major change that happened in your driveway just so that you could address this issue. But I've talked to you about what I thought was great in your descriptive language and your vocal variety and your characterization of voices. I've suggested that you look at more gestures like plunging and dealing with your PowerPoint. But here's the thing that stood out the most. You said, this was our situation, very calmly, very placidly. And then the lesson, check your plumbing every now and then, because you can pay more. You can pay now or pay much more later. And every one of us can relate to wanting to keep our money in our pockets and not hand it over to the plumber. Look forward to the next time that I get to hear you speak. Fantastic job, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster.